You just have to simplify it, not care about what people think. Understand that even if you fail at first, it can only get better. Have you ever found yourself overthinking? Well, it's actually more common than you think. About 75% of young persons that use smart devices are overthinkers, and you might be one of them. As a person who was once an overthinker, I've come to a point where I now make most of my life decisions in a simple and efficient manner. And I can teach you how to do the same while also teaching you how to spend less time on irrelevant thoughts that don't really add any value to your life. Now, since you're already paying attention, I'd love to say focus on your future. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because there are actually two kinds of overthinking. There is the past oriented overthinking, and there's also the future oriented overthinking. And in this video, we're going to be spending more time talking about the future oriented overthinking. But let me shed a little bit of light on the past oriented overthinking. If you've ever done something in the past, or somebody has done something to you in the past, and you find yourself ruminating on those activities, the fact is that you can't really change the outcome of what has already happened to you. However, you can learn from it and move on. And this is really the most important thing to know when it comes to past oriented overthinking. It doesn't matter, move on. I'm going to say that once again because it's very important. It doesn't matter, move on. Now that we've spoken about that, here's why you're overthinking about your future. There are actually two reasons why you overthink about your future. We think we are more capable than we actually are. And we are very capable, don't get me wrong. However, we are not so capable that we can change everybody's opinions of us. And we really have to understand that because in whatever endeavor we try to do, there are two things we desire. We desire a fear-free outcome, a totally certain outcome, something we can never get. We do not have control over everything. And we also do not have the foresight to see everything that is going to necessarily happen. We can't fully judge the weight of an outcome. We are limited. And this results in fear. And it's not just any kind of fear, it's anxiety. Anxiety in itself is worry, is you putting yourself in the shoes of your future self, trying to ask yourself, how am I going to feel when this particular thing happens to me? It's not something that is necessarily happening to you or has happened to you. You are looking at the decision, the outcome as good or bad. And outcomes are really never either good or bad. It's usually just a learning experience. And the reason why people are anxious is because they are thinking about their decisions and their outcomes in a very wrong way. They are thinking about it as either good or bad. There is a better way to look at it. So outcomes can be either net positive or net negative. You really want to pay attention at this point. Now, why am I saying that? I'm saying that because if it is a net negative decision, then you don't want to think about it any more than you already have and you just leave it be. That's quite simple. However, if it is a net positive decision, then you really want to put as much effort into it. A net positive decision or a net positive outcome is an outcome that, whether good or bad, is going to be favorable for you. And net positive outcomes or decisions usually come with a lot of fear. New shirt, new day. It is better to look at outcomes as either net positive or net negative. And the net positive outcomes are usually the ones that require you to step into a place that is not your normal comfort zone. Now, remember earlier I said something about us caring about other people's opinions? The reason why that matters is because whenever we think so much about other people's opinions, we might not even know that we are actively thinking about it. But one of the reasons why people care so much about the outcomes of whatever they engage in is because of the potential reproach that will come from failure. So the reason why people don't want to fail is because they are afraid of what people are going to say if they fail. That doesn't really matter. You really need to let go of that shackle if you are going to be able to properly think of outcomes as you should. Whenever we're thinking about outcomes, it's better to look at it as either net positive or net negative. It's better this way because even if the results are good or bad, it doesn't mean that the activity you've engaged in is good or bad for you in the long term. And remember, the people that win in the long run are those that think in the long term. For example, an activity like gambling, you might win the first few ones, but that doesn't mean it's a good thing for you. Doesn't mean it's a net positive activity for you. So you want to be thinking, this activity, is it a net positive activity or a net negative activity? And now we have the net positive activities. This means that whether you fail or you succeed, it's going to be good for you overall. However, if you are still thinking about what people are going to say about you if you fail. You are not going to be able to consider it as objectively as you should. That's why you should really not care about what most people say. That's why you should not care about pleasing everybody. That's why you should only care about the net positive. Because even if you fail at something like asking a girl out, starting a business, starting a YouTube channel, you are still going to learn from all of those experiences. And that is the thing about net positive experiences. Because you are stepping out of your comfort zone, it means that you are learning. And as you are learning, you are growing. Now, as you step out of your comfort zone, you begin to learn. So now we're in the second phase of this not overthinking process. Remember what I said earlier? You have to step out of your comfort zone in order for you to grow. You have to step out of your comfort zone in order for you to learn. And this reminds me of a story from my own life. I spent so much time reading books, consuming information about what I had to do, what I should do, how I should start this business, how I should step out on this, how I should behave in this certain way. However, I wasn't putting myself in those situations that would enable me grow. I wasn't giving myself the chance to learn. I wasn't giving myself the chance to grow. And that's the second part of this not overthinking process. You have to have a bias for action. You have to be able to act and learn on the job. And I learned something from a book not too long ago. It's ultra learning. Within the book, the author spoke about something. He says, if you want to learn a language, the best way to learn that language and the fastest way is to immerse yourself in the culture that speaks that language. You want to put yourself in an immersive environment so that you can learn as quickly as possible. That's why you want to learn on the job. That's why you don't want to just be reading and reading and reading and reading and finding out reasons why you won't step out, finding out reasons why you need to wait a little bit more, finding out reasons why you need a little bit more cash, finding out reasons why you need some more motivation. If you're going to learn anything, if you're going to learn anything at the fastest pace possible, the best thing for you to do is to learn on the job. That's why you need to start your business and learn on the job. And don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating for failure before learning. I'm saying learning on the job. You don't have to fail before you learn. However, you need to be doing in order to be learning. If you are not doing, then you are just consuming information. And this is the place that many overthinkers have found themselves. They discover that they are always reading, they are ever consuming knowledge, but never becoming what they are consuming. It's because they are always just gaining knowledge and not acting. They are ever fantasizing. And that's the exact word. They are always fantasizing about what they could be doing instead of actually doing what they should. Number three, the third part of this not overthinking process. So now we've come to part three, right? The final step, the final part of this not overthinking process. It's actually to think like an idiot. Let me unpack it. Actually, I got that from a man named Elon Musk. And what he actually means is that he means simplify the process to the barest minimum. Let me unpack it some more. Elon Musk wanted to create rockets that were sustainably cheap. And in order to do this, he realized that the rockets had to go and also come back. He didn't want to be wasting so much material. However, that was not even the first step he took. The first step he took was to look at the current cost of what it took to produce a rocket. And when he looked at the cost of that, he discovered that it was in the billions of dollars. Now, he said that he was going to be able to do this with only about $100 million worth of money. And this was what brought about the dumb it down process. He realized that in order to do what he needed to do, he needed to make the process as simple as possible. He needed to make it as easy as possible. He needed to make it as lacking of irrelevant needs as he possibly could. So he stripped down the entire process and left it almost naked. And that's what many of us need to do. That's what many of us need to do when it comes to our businesses, when it comes to our activities that we want to take on, projects we want to start, things we want to embark upon. We need to strip it down to the barest minimum. We need to look at it as naked as we can have it. In order to start this YouTube channel, I started consuming materials on what it would take for me to start a YouTube channel. And I started to see things that I did not have. I started to think about the money to get the cameras that I needed, that I thought I needed. I started to think about the money it would cost me to get the lighting. I started to think about the skills I did not have in front of the camera. I started to think about basically the things that were not in my reach. And that's one thing that happens with overthinkers. Overthinkers don't simplify the process enough. They leave it at such a complicated level that they are stuck. They experience analysis paralysis. They don't do anything about even those things that they would love to do the most. And so at the end of the day, I realized that I could use my phone, and that's what I'm currently recording on. I also realized that for lighting, I could just stay next to my window. for now. And eventually I got to start. And that's how this YouTube channel started, basically. It has finally begun. And I'm saying that you too can start whatever you need to start. You just have to simplify it, not care about what people think. Understand that even if you fail at first, it can only get better because things are net positive or net negative. And then you should always have a bias for action. You should always be doing, and you should always be learning while you are doing. Thank you very much for watching this video. And if you really liked what you heard and you'd love to learn how to articulate your thoughts properly, because people that overthink usually don't know how to express everything that they think about. So kindly leave a like on this video and it will be up by next week. Thank you very much. Enjoy.